All right, guys, game is over. Packers beat the Seahawks. Now, before I get into this game in particular, I want to say, not panicking, not hitting the panic button. There's no reason to get worried about long-term things yet. Season's far from over. I think a lot of people knew that this was a high possibility, a distinct possibility. I thought we would be 1-1. We're 0-2 to start the season. We can come back from that. There's very little margin of error. We cannot afford to come out sleepwalking against any team we play the rest of the year. We have to come out and give 100% effort the rest of the way. If we do that, I believe we will be fine. So, everything I'm about to say for the rest of this video, it just has to do with this game. I'm not panicking. Next week, we got the Bears coming into town, and I am sure that we're going to show up for that, because we're going to catch hell from the national media this week. Maybe even some local stuff, maybe even some stuff from the fans. They could get, they could be saying some stuff, and I'm sure the team is going to see that and go, time for us to wake up. So my expectations next week against a Bears team with no defense and a backup quarterback, that should be a win running away, ending the Bears season at 0-3 pretty much. So, as for this game, not a bad effort. We kept it close. A couple of streaks ended tonight. One, this was the first time we've lost by double digits since 2011. This is the first time we've lost on primetime, I think, since 2012. So, not a bad game by us. We played competitively. It was close up until the end. And I don't feel too badly on the whole about if you step back and look at this game as a whole, because giving up 27 points to the Packers in Lambeau is not bad. I thought the defense on the whole played pretty well. Not the best, but I thought they did pretty well considering that Aaron Rodgers really was locked in. He phenomenal in controlling the pocket, moving away from pressure and hitting receivers downfield, and I thought he was locked in for most of that game. But there are a couple of things going on with this team that I continue to not like. So let me call out some guys who did really well. Marcus Burley, wow. Marcus Burley he had to come in last season because everyone else was hurt. And I remember he got destroyed in that game against the Cowboys that we lost. And as the season went on, he got better and better and better. And now he is a legitimate contributor to this secondary, and he can give us some stuff. So Marcus Burley played a phenomenal game in my opinion. He gave up very little. Jordan Hill made plays in the backfield. Bruce Irvin was a monster off the edge. And all these players, they're playing well, and things for the most part on this defense I felt were going pretty well. But a couple of guys, and I have to look at Michael Bennett. I love Michael Bennett. I think he is one of the most destructive forces in the league. I think he's incredibly underrated because he doesn't get huge sack numbers. But unless you watch every snap this team plays, you don't know how valuable Michael Bennett is to this team. And everybody who watched that game knows I'm going to say it. This team has something of a discipline problem. And you look at that game, Michael Bennett had 3 offsides penalties. He has 5 this season. 5 in 2 games. That's beyond unacceptable. Every team in the league uses a hard count from time to time, and I don't see other players on other teams jumping off sides 2-3 times a game. The third one was crap and should have been a false start on the Packers, but even if you take that one away, I could see maybe picking up 3 or 4 offsides penalties over the course of a season for one guy, but 3 or 4 over the course of 2 games, something is broken. Something is wrong with that machine. And when it comes to Michael Bennett, my fear is, and this is one of the things that has me a little bit concerned going forward into weeks 3 through week 17, I don't know how coachable a guy like Michael Bennett is going to be. Like I said, I love Michael Bennett. I think he's a phenomenal player, 4th best player on this defense, our best defensive lineman, but we all know he's a pistol. We all know he has personality stuff, and we all know that he's not happy with his contract, and I wonder if this coaching staff, our first-year defensive our first year defensive coordinator, Chris Richard. I wonder if there's any intimidation factor in trying to tell Michael Bennett what to do or to discipline Michael Bennett for some of the stuff he's doing, because Michael Bennett was a huge net negative out there tonight. And I say that even though he was pushing the pocket and collapsing the pocket for a portion of the game, because virtually everything that the Packers did offensively in that game in the first half came off of Michael Bennett jumping off sides. When he jumps off sides, Aaron Rodgers gets the free play. When Aaron Rodgers gets the free play, he's attacking Sherman, and the touchdown, the long pass interference, that's 10 points. And he had hands in other big plays too, or at least one other. And my fear is, Michael Bennett, he's not thrilled right now with the way things are going with this team. I know that. We all know that. He's a bit of a personality problem. He has a boisterous personality. He's probably only here because his wife made him, if you believe that kind of stuff. And honestly, I could kind of see it. He's very public about the fact that he doesn't like his contract and he wants a bigger contract. You play like that, you can forget about it. But I wonder if there is some concern over disciplining him. And I wonder if we're afraid of telling him what to do, telling him stop trying to jump the snap count. And if that's the case, then as much as I hate to say it, Michael Bennett don't need to play for this team anymore. And I know that's a very extreme thing to say, given that he's a Pro Bowl caliber player. But if, he's going to be a net negative, and he was out there tonight, we don't need him. So I need to see where that goes over these next 15 weeks with Michael Bennett. Other than that, because I'm telling you, other than the points we gave up off of Michael Bennett doing his stupid crap, this defense played pretty well. Bobby Wagner was a lot better this week. He still missed some stuff, still got some stuff to clean up, but he was making some really good plays in the first half. Fell apart a little bit at the end. KJ Wright forcing that fumble. He had a couple of big tackles on Lacey, including the one that knocked him out. Obviously, the ejection was just Bush League. I don't like it. The run defense, I still feel like we're not being very disciplined in our run defense. It's about execution when it comes to plugging running lanes, because I watch every football game there is pretty much. The run defense, as I see around the league right now, just from watching, it seems like we have one of the lesser run defenses in the league. I don't know if the numbers bear that out. It was not good tonight. We got gashed by the Packers' backup running back. We missed tackles. We missed assignments. The linebackers were a lot better this week. All of them. Don't get me wrong. Still needs to be better. Got to patch that up. I'm not mad that Aaron Rodgers threw the ball and had a good game on us. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. Offensively, some good stuff. Pass blocking was solid for most of the game. You let a guy through every now and then, but most of the time when we let somebody through, it was in a context where Wilson could just shake free and get outside and make a run down and run past the line of scrimmage and make a play down there with his feet. Doug Baldwin, great game from him. Luke Wilson, tremendous catch, and you have the worst hands on the team, so if you start making catches like that, then wow. Chris Matthews, Tyler Lockett getting involved, a lot of targets getting involved, but I am worried about this offensive line now officially. We ran the ball well when it came to quarterback bootlegs and Wilson taking off, but early in this game, our offensive line couldn't run block for piss. And that's something that I wasn't expecting to see against a Packers defense that has some killers. Don't get me wrong. They have some real good players on that Packers defense, and Morgan Burnett did play, and that was something that I wasn't totally expecting. But this is not the Rams. And for us to get our asses kicked so much on the offensive line in the first half when it came to run blocking, I didn't expect that. Second half, things were a little better. Things equalized a bit. Lynch had some good runs. Wilson contributed most of our rushing yards, and I thought, he played really well in that regard. But the interception at the end, because that was the big play of this game. Still had a chance to win at that point, and then the interception basically ended it. I am so sick of seeing Wilson throwing these screens, these slants, these dump offs, these short little passes in traffic. I feel like there is a refusal to admit among the players and maybe among the coaches, maybe even more so among the coaches, that's not Wilson's game. It cannot be. He's too short. He cannot see over these defenders. You ask him to throw these short little passes in traffic, he's not going to know what's going on over there. That interception to the defensive lineman he threw, he can't really see what's going on over there. He's too short. That's a limitation that he has. You have to game plan around it. You can't just assume that everything's going to be okay. You can run those plays with Peyton Manning or Cam Newton or Joe Flacco. They're tall enough to see over the defense. It's a totally different thing for them. Wilson, that's not his game. So I really need to see better game planning going forward. This week it was better than the Rams. The pass rush for the Packers was decent, but for the most part we were able to keep a clean pocket for good portions of that game, and we made a few plays downfield. Could have made a few more. A couple of throws were missed, but the downfield passing game was there, like it wasn't against St. Louis. But I need to see a little better going forward, because this offense put up 17 points, which is not terrible. Needs to be better going forward, but in Lambeau against this pretty good Green Bay defense, not the worst thing in the world. So yeah, there are just a few things that need to be cleaned up that are just ruining this season for a bunch of other players who are playing really well. Some of these guys are killing it, and then just a few guys mess it up for everybody else. So yeah, offensive line, run defense, general discipline. We're still getting too many penalties. J.R. Sweezy had a dumb penalty. Okung had a false start. Come on, Okung. Both those guys are playing for their money. And through 2 weeks, honestly, I'm not impressed. I wouldn't give them I wouldn't give them the money that they're probably going to want. So yeah, I'll give our guys this, especially in that first half. We couldn't buy a call. I mean, Green Bay's offensive line. I never complain about holding by an offensive line because I know it happens so often. But that first half, man, I mean, there was some pretty obvious stuff going on over there, and we didn't get any calls until the second half, and then it evened out a little bit. And I can't say it was why we lost, because we had our chances otherwise, but some of the stuff the officials were doing in this first half made me mad. So no reason to panic. Just got to come out hard next 15 weeks.